So I wanted to read to you today The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein, and it's a summer service, so the slides sent by two different people are somewhere in the ethers and not up on the board. But I was prepared. I brought the book, which I know everybody in the narthex can see, but you may know this story or use your imagination to make the pictures in your head. Once there was a tree, and she loved a little boy. And every day the boy would come, and he would gather her leaves and make them into crowns and play king of the forest. He would climb up her trunk and swing from her branches and eat apples. And they would play hide and seek. And when he was tired, he would rest in her shade and sleep. And the boy loved the tree very much. And the tree was happy. But time went by, and the boy grew older, and the tree was often alone. Then one day the boy came to the tree, and the tree said, "Come, boy, come and climb up my trunk and swing from my branches and eat my apples and play in my shade and be happy." "I'm too big to climb and play," said the boy. "I want to buy things and have fun. I want some money. Can you get me some money?" "I'm sorry," said the tree, "but I have no money. I only have leaves and apples. Take my apples, boy, and sell them in the city. Then you will have money, and you will be happy." And so the boy climbed up the tree and gathered her apples and carried them away, and the tree was happy. But the boy stayed away for a long time, and the tree was sad. And then one day the boy came back, and the tree shook with joy, and she said, "Come, boy, climb my trunk, swing from my branches, and be happy." "I'm too busy to climb trees," said the boy. "I want a house to keep me warm." He said, "I want a wife and I want children, and so I need a house. Can you give me a house?" "I have no house," said the tree. "The forest is my house. But you may cut off my branches and build a house. Then you will be happy." So the boy cut off her branches and carried them away to build his house. And the tree was happy. But the boy stayed away for a long time, and when he came back, the tree was so happy she could hardly speak. "Come, boy," she whispered, "come and play." "I'm too old and sad to play," said the boy. "I want a boat that will take me far away from here. Can you give me a boat?" "Cut down my trunk and make a boat," said the tree. "Then you can sail away and be happy." And so the boy cut down her trunk and made a boat and sailed away. And the tree was happy, but not really. After a long time, the boy came back again. "I'm sorry, boy," said the tree, "but I have nothing left to give you. My apples are gone. My teeth are too weak for apples," said the boy. "My branches are gone," said the tree. "You cannot swing on them." "I am too old to swing on branches," said the boy. "My trunk is gone," said the tree. "You cannot climb." "I am too tired to climb," said the boy. "I'm sorry," sighed the tree. "I wish that I could give you something, but I have nothing left. I am just an old stump. I am sorry." "I don't need very much now," said the boy. "Just a quiet place to sit and rest. I am very tired." "Well," said the tree, straightening herself up, as much as she could. Well, an old stump is good for sitting and resting. Come, boy, sit down. Sit down and rest. And the boy did. And the tree was happy. The end. So I've always hated that book. I am sorry for those of you who love it, and I hope my opinion does not ruin that love for you. I know it sounds silly to focus a sermon on something I don't like, but during this past spring semester I thought about this book a lot. For those of you who don't know my story, I'm a full-time preschool teacher. I work 45 hours a week for the better part of the year. Yes, I'm a teacher that works in the summer. And like everyone else, I have my daily obligations to attend to. 2 years ago, I entered into Drew University School of Theology, where I am working on my Master's of Divinity. And around the same time, my mother moved from her apartment into assisted living and needed more of my time. My plate is full. My life is out of balance. So back to why I hate this book. My first memory of reading this book was in my 20s. I had a steady babysitting job, and the little boy I sat with loved for me to read this book to him before going to bed. I would hold back my tears as I painfully read the pages. I felt the tree's pain as it was destroyed by the boy's selfishness. For me, it represented several personal relationships that I was in where the other person took from me until I was empty inside. I felt like the stump in these relationships. I'm sure you can all relate to this feeling. I doubt any of us has ever escaped life without feeling that point of the tree. I hope that you have found your way out of these unhealthy relationships. Over the past few months, I've been thinking about this book quite a bit. During the spring semester, I took an incredible class called Global Faiths in the Earth. We studied world religions and how they use their doctrine to fight environmental injustice. It was a fascinating class and a ton of work. Each week we read close to 1,000 pages. In addition, we were expected to meditate 15 minutes twice a week and journal about the experience. One meditation was to sit in the same outdoor spot and see how the environment changed as the season changed, and the other was moving meditation. We also needed to make an environmental change in our lives and keep a journal of our progress. This, along with our weekly online class, 5 one-hour Saturday small group discussions, 2 field trips with reflection papers to do, and a final paper. And I was taking another class where the workload was even heavier. As I said, my life was out of balance. For my sitting meditation, I chose my backyard. I did this mostly because I knew I would never drive someplace once a week and do the meditation. I didn't have the time or the discipline to follow through. And then I would have to make up my journal. Sitting in my yard was hard. There were those 15 minutes of sitting still, where I could be doing something productive, like reading those 1,000 pages for the week or trying to clean something in my house. And the spring semester runs from January to April. It was a cold winter. But the hardest part was looking at the mess left behind from the builder who flipped the house next door to mine. First, there's this radon filter system that drones 24/7, a noise I don't hear now. But during those 4 months, it just seemed to get louder every week. There was still glass on my grass, and my garden was filled with gravel that had washed down during a rainstorm. And even though the contractor had one of his guys work on cleaning my yard for a full day, the mess was still there. When he put in the fence, he did it well within his property line, leaving rotting railroad ties the length of my yard, and in the back, a pile of metal poles and rotting wood. And to make it even worse, in the very back of his property, he had cut down a maple tree. I just loved watching that tree change with the seasons. So I would go out every Saturday and sit in the cold, angrily looking at the mess, trying to figure out how I would ever love my house again. This meditation seemed like a waste of time. I was angry, and I just wanted to be inside attending to all of the things that were being neglected. Not a great way to meditate, I know. One morning, while looking at the huge mess, I saw a little maple tree, the child of the one that had been cut down. I started to talk to it. I gently caressed its bark and shared my sadness with the tree. In February, we began our studies of indigenous traditions. We watched the video of Robin Wall Kimmerer eloquently describe the stewardship between humans and the earth in the retelling the story of Sky Woman. Here she explained the first encounter between humans and other beings of the earth was marked by the care, by the responsibility borne on the strong wings of the geese. The earth was named by gratitude and reciprocity. The animals risked their well-being for the well-being of Sky Woman. They brought mud for her to live on, a place where she would be safe, and in return, we owe the same back to the earth and all who inhabit it. This is what our seventh principle tells us, right? Respect for the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are a part. At first, these thoughts made me feel even worse about the mess in my yard and some of my neighbors' yards, which are perfectly manicured because of the chemicals they use to keep them green and weed-free. We destroy so much nature for the benefit of our desires. This became clear to me this past June. Every year at the end of June, a friend of mine, another school teacher, and I go up to Pico Mountain in Vermont. She and her family have a ski house in the mountains. We do a lot of hiking. Our first night, we just took a little walk around the pond. She was telling me how they made the pond deeper in order to increase snowmaking capabilities in the winter. I thought, cool, better skiing. And my thought on the subject ended there until the next morning. My morning hike is always solo. I started at B Slope. I passed the pond. And there, the trail began to change. It was a muddy mess made by tractor wheels. The wildflower beds had been pushed back, the little purple flowers were missing, and the butterflies were not as abundant as they had been in years past. As I walked up the mountain, I could feel the ground violently vibrate, and the noise of the construction vehicles grew louder and louder as I walked up higher and higher. The mountain was out of balance. I thought about a conversation between the characters Michael and Victor in Victor Wooten's book, The Music Lesson. The two are sitting in darkness by the pond in a nature reserve, listening to the conversation or music between the animals. They listen to the rhythm of each species. Michael explains that frogs croak together so they sound larger than they really are, thus frightening away their predators. The vibration of a passing airplane breaks this natural rhythm of the frogs. As each individual frog tries to find his groove and sound like one again, they become exposed to predators. Environmentalists tried to have the plane diverted so as to not to disturb nature's balance, but they lost the battle. The constant vibration and disruption of people can destroy a single habitat over time. As I reached the top of B Slope, the meadow had been cleared. Trees had been cut down, and the lush green of the trees and grasses had been stripped away. I wondered what had been lost, and could it ever recover? On Pico Mountain's disruption was for one summer. It should go back over time. Most people won't know that it took place when they come back to their snow-covered paradise. They will reap the benefits of better snowmaking. They will have great ski seasons to come. They will never know what was lost in the summer of 2019, and they won't know how long it took for the mountain to recover. The first peoples believed the land, a belief that if you are not in balance with nature, you are not in balance in your life. I know for me, taking a walk in the woods, spending the weekend in the mountains, or sitting on the beach restores my inner peace. How many of you turn to nature to regain your balance, to find your inner peace? As I spent those long 4 months sitting in my garden, I kept thinking about that balance. One day, toward the end of the semester, I moved my chair just a little. I changed my view. This slight change shifted my thought. Turn this mess into something beautiful. Plant plants that are native to this area. Invite the birds, bugs, and insects into my yard. In early spring, I spoke to the new owner of the house, showed him where the property line was, and asked him if he wanted to fix it, or would he like me to take care of it. I shared my vision with him. We decided I would take over the piece of property. In the giving tree, the little boy and the tree were happy when they gave, when the give and take was even. But as the boy got older, he kept taking from the tree, and the tree kept hoping to reestablish this relationship. Their relationship was out of balance. The boy was selfish, never said thank you, and the tree was so desperate for his friendship that it would give anything to keep the boy coming back. The boy was greedy. The tree was an enabler. It's not until the end of the story that the relationship is somewhat restored. Neither has anything to give or take. While working on this sermon, I have discovered many layers to this book that I didn't see in my 20s. I'm still unraveling it all in my head. I will probably never read this book again. But its message will grow inside of me, and I don't hate it as much. Imbalance can be found in all of our relationships at one time or another. I realized that in the last few years, I was the boy and the tree in my relationship with myself. I was the boy depleting my own energy, and I was the tree, the enabler of that depletion. It is time to regain my balance. As my garden continues to evolve, I feel my balance being restored. I sit in the same spot in my yard almost every day, and I watch the bees and the butterflies dance around my flowers. I listen and watch the birds come in and out of my yard, and I sit and I listen to the crickets and the cicadas sing. Starting in September, I've cut my hours at work. I've rearranged the time I will spend with my mother. I'm hoping to reconnect with the friends that I have not seen for the past 2 years. I'm regaining my balance, and my little maple tree is thriving. So, again, it's a summer service. We don't have a closing hymn. But I'm going to use Charlie and Judy's words for my benediction, because I just thought they were fitting for today. May your roots grow deep. May your branches spread far. May you find this to be a wonderful world, and leave it even better for those who follow.